Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. Welcome to Transfer Hub, your home of Aston Villa's transfer news, links, rumours, noise, murmurings, incomings, outgoings. You name it, you'll find it here on Transfer Hub at Up the Villa. If you are new to the channel, make sure you are subscribing. Get on the journey with us. Comment your thoughts on everything that I discuss on today's episode and hit that like button for me. Let's try and get around 500 likes on this episode. So we've got a departure. It's a departure that we've kind of felt like has been coming for the whole window. Louie Barry gone on loan to Sheffield United. And it's an interesting one because Hull City were in negotiations to sign Louie Barry for £3 million early on in the window. Their finances look in dire straits. So that deal couldn't happen. So he's gone on loan to Sheffield United. And I actually feel like it's a good deal for Villa. I think the most important thing for me is getting maximum value out of our players that are going out on loan. It's about increasing their value to be able to maximise the highest amount of money that Villa can get from these types of players. Louie Barry, I like him. I think he's okay, but I've got, massive like question marks on. I don't think he has a future at Aston Villa, and I feel like when I'm looking at his age profile, the player that always comes to my mind is Cameron Archer. Now, Cameron Archer is a year older than Louie Barry, but so far, Cameron Archer has got 17 goals in the 21-22 season. He'd got 7 goals in the Championship. 22-23, got 11 goals, 6 assists in the Championship for Middlesbrough. And for Sheffield United, he got 4 goals and 1 assist in the Premier League. So that's kind of like the benchmark of where I'm sort of looking at Louie Barry. And Louie Barry did have a real good season last season in League One, 15 goals, 2 assists for Stockport. And yeah, he was decent last season. Season before, he'd got 9 goals, 4 assists. Season before that, in League Two, he'd got 2 goals, 1 assist. League One, 1 goal, 2 assists. So where I'm kind of getting at is Louie Barry's like yet to get a championship goal. So I imagine that's why Hull were looking at around 3 million. And I think Villa put on a massive clause that if he was to leave Hull, then we would get X amount of money because of that unknown quality of if he does well, then Villa benefits. So this one feels like if he does really, really well, can we get that value to around 12, 15? If he was explosive, 20, which I think would be highly unlikely. It would go to around 20. But, he would still be, how old would he be at the end of the season? Sort of like he's going to be going into he'll be 23. So the start of next season, he'll be 23. And then I sort of like look at the age profile and think like, this is mad. This is mad. Amadou Onana is 23 and he's a Belgium international who has played so many games for Belgium, Premier League starter. We look at someone like the age profile of John Duran, who was 21. So where it leads me is that if Emery felt like Louie Barry was good enough for Villa, then he would play for Villa, because we've seen that 21-year-old can play for Villa. So I just feel like Unai doesn't really rate him, and I don't think he suits our system either. I think he can play on the left, can play off the striker. So for me, this one is all about maximising the amount of money Aston Villa can make from this potential loan deal. Let me know your thoughts. You might disagree, you might agree, but it'd be good to get your thoughts on what you're thinking. We've got, and again, all window guys. We've got 3 players here. So where if you typed these players in on Google, right, you're gonna find stories. You're gonna find stories, right? This is a funny story. So yesterday there was two stories from the same source on Martinez, right? This is what it said. Manchester United ready to make shock move for Emi Martinez, right? And when I saw that headline, I was like, where's the shock? Like, where's the shock in that? Later on, it went on to say Manchester United have failed in an attempt to sign Emi Martinez on loan. I'll repeat that. Manchester United have failed in an attempt to sign Emi Martinez on loan from Aston Villa. Now, I know our window's bad, guys. I know it's bad at the minute. But it's not that bad, is it? Like, I'm actually crying me laughter. The window's bad. It's bad, but it's not that bad. It can't be that bad, can it? And I think why we do these episodes, we go on a bit of a journey, don't we? Like we've seen rumors, and then potential things can happen, and we stay with the story all the way through. And we've been with this story all the way through, right? How I read into this is we know that they're linked with that Sene Lamens, right? They are linked with a younger goalkeeper. They actively want a goalkeeper. Was this Manchester United's sort of final straw with the Martinez deal? They can't afford him because they're going after other targets. They're going after strikers. They're going after midfielders. They've already got a goalkeeper, but they want a goalkeeper. Ornstein's reporting that they do want a goalkeeper. I don't think they're going to splash the money that Villa want for Martinez. So it was a little cheeky loan deal, their last sort of to try and get to the player or talk to the player or get involved in a deal. Maybe there was something in that. But yeah, it does feel like he's not going United. But again, if he's not going United, I still think that he could be going somewhere. I think his camp want to leave. And I do still think he probably might leave. I'd say my percentage on Martinez leaving is now at, say, 70-30. 70% he's going, 30 staying, because we're taking away like the Manchester United link from things. We'll stick on with Manchester United. And this was from David Ornstein's transfer deal sheet, where a lot of the local journalists that cover each team, so we're talking Laurie Whitwell from the Manchester United reporting side of things with The Athletic, he sticks on those stories, and then there's different ones that branch out. So we've got more Manchester United news, and this is coming from David Ornstein's deal sheet, is that Sesko, Watkins, Jackson are names that feature on recruitment lists at many leading clubs, and each has recently been linked to United. Talks have taken place about the trio, which is normal, but they are not being actively pursued due to cost. So there's noise still around Watkins and Manchester United, but they can't afford him. Like, I don't think they can afford Martinez and Watkins. I don't think they can afford, but I think they've done a lot of their heavy lifting. They need players to leave, etc., to be able to push on and kicking on in the window. Again, if you look for another player, Morgan Rogers, this is coming from Tom Colomose, who is saying, as has been documented in previous weeks, Garnacho and Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers are also under consideration, actually. So this is from Ornstein. That quote is Ornstein. So, as has been documented in previous weeks, Garnacho and Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers are also under consideration. That's from David Steen's deal sheet. And I was on Blue Brother, Chelsea, Charlie's channel, who I've been on quite a lot during seasons. And he was talking about a swap for Jackson and Rodgers. And I said, no. I said, Rodgers, he's untouchable to Villa, which he is. Emery loves him, doesn't he? So 100 million would be what I would say. He was asking me about Jackson, and I was just saying, like, the reports are saying that if Watkins leaves, I imagine we probably would go in and around Jackson because of the Emery relationship. And then Tom Colomose is saying Villa insists they won't sell Rodgers, but that has a knock-on effect. And I think what he's implying there is if it's not Rodgers who leaves, then it would be somebody else potentially who may have to sell to sign. But we know the players we want to get rid of, but they're very difficult now to try and get rid of quickly. And then Forest are still angling for a move for Ramsey. I was on a Nottingham Forest show today talking about Ramsey to Forest. They seem pretty keen on the idea and of the understanding that they are still in for Ramsey. So that's interesting to see how that one develops. But I just thought I'd give my thoughts on Louie Barry and what I expect in and around that situation. I have done a little short today of a leaked Aston Villa third shirt. So go and have a little cheeky look at that. The more I look at it, the more I like it, the more I think it looks pretty cool. It would look better in person, I imagine. So go and check that one out as well. So that's all of the Villa noise and news that's sort of doing the rounds at the minute. So take of it what you will. And I've got a nice episode later on today, a longer episode coming out with me and Ryan discussing a lot of things on how we're feeling, etc. So stay tuned for that one. Thanks everyone for watching. Share your thoughts. Up the Villa.